Live in 3, 2, 1. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We've got a lot of crazy stuff that has happened most recently, and in the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about this, and many of you are probably on the same page as us as far as you get the feeling that something very, very big is happening, and I think there's a lot of cover-ups right now. To be frank, I think that they're covering up a ton of stuff. I think that there's things that are happening almost on a daily basis, which they are covering up, which many people are very happy about the new admin, but do not forget this new admin, just like every other admin, has to lie. In fact, they're probably lying on a daily basis because that's part of being an administration of the U.S. government. The U.S. government, almost half of it, it's required to lie. So we are being lied to on a daily basis. And as far as war goes, there is a reason why world governments do not tell us that we are heading into a world war. It causes panic, it causes strife, it causes financial hardship to a country. When you tell somebody we're going to World War III, that affects the stock market. And half of the people that are deciding these decisions for our next world war, well, they're making their money off of it. There are signs, of course, U.S. is massing B-2 Spirit bombers. Now, this actually came out as the end of the show last night it was coming to an end. This was all coming out. And these B-2 Spirit bombers, on top of everything else that's headed to the Middle East, they are massing in Diego Garcia. Now, you'll remember we actually talked about Diego Garcia not too long ago, because I think it was the UK that was saying that they wanted to renew a 100-year lease. And we were saying, man, and I even asked you guys, I said, hey, I don't know enough about Diego Garcia. Like, why, is there anything that connects to any of the other stuff, why they're doing this? It seemed odd, the timing of it, the war placement of all of the updates that was going on that day. And I said, how does this fit into it? Well, we might soon see, because the Diego Garcia thing, how close we are working with, of course, different countries and European nations. Now we are massing B-2 bombers there, right? Well, Diego Garcia is in an area, if you wanted to go after, Asia, or if you wanted to go over somewhere else, you would go to Guam, right? Well, if you want to go after the Middle East, the most logical place would be to go to Diego Garcia. Out in the middle of nowhere. A significant force of B-2 Spirit stealth bombers looks to be currently wending its way to the Indian Ocean island of Diego Garcia. Satellite imagery shows at least 3 C-17 cargo planes and 10 aerial refueling tankers forward deployed in the last 48 hours to the highly strategic British territory, which has been used as a staging point for U.S. strikes in the Middle East on multiple occasions in the past. Now, think about this. Just recently, they did all of the paperwork to make sure that this island was still UK territory. And it seems like, to me, you probably had foresight of whatever they're doing now, and the event that's about to happen, you had foresight of this then. And if you actually look back to that same week, this is when everybody was talking about the rumors. In fact, within 24 to 48 hours, they were talking about the rumors of Israel striking the nuclear targets in Iran. So the Diego Garcia, the whole renewal of that, I asked questions because I thought, I don't know enough about this. But I thought it was really, really funny that around that same time period is exactly when the rumors came out that they were going to be possibly striking Iran. So I'm not making a prediction. I'm not setting a date. Again, I don't think this is the end of the world, but I do believe we are about to see this war pop off. And I do believe that Iran and the Middle East, this is about to get a whole lot hotter. And this is a whole big part of it. So again, we'll be talking about even more over on our next show, where we're going to cover the rest of it. But before we continue, we're going to hit the fireball that came over California. It actually came over more of the country than we thought. So we're going to talk about that. They say it was space junk, and as well, it looks like a cover-up. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. But first off, I do want to remind you, I think there's 15 days left in this. We worked very hard with EMP Shield to get you guys a giveaway. This is, again, a giveaway where at least 5 people are going to be able to get an EMP Shield, again, of their choice, which means you can get one for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, generator, ham radio, or even your home. And it will protect your devices against not only an EMP or multiple EMPs from an adversary, but it could also protect you against a Carrington-level event from the sun. One of the natural events that is actually not possible, it is probable. It is going to happen. It's a matter of when, not if. Go to marfooglenews.com/giveaway, and one lucky winner will get $1,000 credit at Grid Down. Again, Grid Down, just to remind you guys, today we have a crazy lightning storm all around us, thunderstorm. If something goes down, we've got our Jenny's charges. We've got our gas filled up for our gas generators. Hopefully it's not bad. I guess we just got to notice that we might get 2-inch hail, that we might get tornadoes here near Seattle, and that we, of course, will get crazy lightning strikes. It's already happening. There's lightning all over the map. It's crazy. But again, I'm not going to hold my breath. Of course, Dex just went through this last week where they said the exact same thing, that hail could damage your cars to put everything away, and then it ended up missing him. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but if it does, we are prepared. But again, this is the Grid Down bug out, and they have all sorts of other stuff. Heck, if you already got a Grid Down, you could use that $1,000 and get yourself a bunch of solar panels. So a lot of really cool stuff over there. marfooglenews.com/giveaway, but best off, again, this is exclusive to the Foogle family. You can also go buy products from them as well. That is an affiliate that ends up helping our independent media. But again, that giveaway is only for about 2 more weeks. So again, get in there. It's 100% free, and there's multiple ways to actually get more entries. All right, let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
All right, so we've got a lot more here. Let's see here. Okay, so this mysterious fireball. So I have a pretty strong opinion about this, that something was a cover-up. Right when this happened, Ilea sent this to me first. Nobody was talking about this. This is the fireball that I said nobody was talking about. Well, it turns out it wasn't just California that saw it. It was like the entire country. In fact, half of the country saw this damn thing, and nobody talked about it, not that night, the day after, except for local news stations that actually got videotape of the thing. When you look at the actual videotape of the thing, it almost looks like a spaceship crossing the sky. They said it went from west to east, so it actually started in California, or possibly, was seen in California, but then was seen after that going east. I almost thought, man, is this something that purposely landed? I could not tell you. It was crazy timing. I ended up watching the movie Life with Jake Gyllenhaal and whatever his name is from the cell phone company thing. And it showed at the very end these escape pods leaving, and they look like the pods that the astronauts essentially leave, land in for the moon mission, one of those kind of pods. And it showed this scene where it's going through the atmosphere and it's burning off. And it reminded me of what this thing looked like in a couple of the videos. In a couple of the videos, it did not look like a meteor with all sorts of things falling off. It looked like a straight up object with a very clean line coming off of it, like it's going through the atmosphere and the fire is going around it. It looked like a perfect ball. I don't know if Ilea's in the chat, but you can ask her. I said, man, that doesn't look like a satellite. That looks like a space station. It was big. And we said, man, this is really weird. It came down over California. Apparently it didn't. It apparently came down and it went across our country, and they're saying it's space junk. Why did they talk about it now? If so many more people saw it than they said, then what the hell is this? They're saying that it's a part of a rocket. Dex, what is it a rocket from? It's a Elon thing.
They said that it's not a fireball. It was that it was most likely re-entry debris from the SpaceX Dragon Freedom 2 DEB spacecraft, which is part of the widely publicized Crew 9 mission. So it's part of that system that either takes it up or jettisons from it before it comes back into the atmosphere. And then this piece, I guess, is what they're suggesting is what comes in. They said they were tracking it, and it was supposed to come in on March 24th, which was about that time.
Yeah, and so very well could be that. We didn't hear anything about it beforehand. Afterwards, they say it was a part of that rocket that did it and it came down. But how clean it came down and how clean the actual trail off, it looked like it was just straight up a module, like it was a escape pod or something, right? And it really does make you think. We don't know exactly what's going on above us, but we do know that China now has their own space station. We know that the DoD and the Space Force has told us that we have had 3 extremely high-ranking officials say that there's a space war going on above our heads right now. And then we, of course, in the same week that they, get this, remember this? Just about a week and a half ago, we had the X-37B or whatever, this experimental craft that looks like a shuttle. It's an unmanned shuttle. It came down. They responded to it in actual hazmat suits. Like a whole team of hazmat suits went out to go get this thing. And then, of course, we have the release of the the F-47, the new 6th generation jet that looks straight up like a UFO. All of these things are happening. Meanwhile, they had all of these stories regarding satellites, China tracking our tracking, us tracking their tracking, tracking when China actually looks at our satellites. And then, of course, in the same week that they say that they have cable cutting, specific gear for cable cutting our hard lines between our countries, like the hard line that carries cables from the United States to Europe. So yeah, China's been releasing a lot of stuff, a lot of technology, and the U.S. has been too. And then at the same time, we've got Iran, we've got Israel, we've got North Korea and South Korea, we've got China and Taiwan, we've got, of course, Russia and Ukraine, and Venezuela and Guyana is on that list of crazy things that are possibly going to happen soon. So yeah, this is getting nuts. And then Dex, let's talk about this 25% tariff, another big thing that's about to pop off. Could affect the whole world.
So this does. It's a big deal in the sense that he's now putting into place. There's 25% tariffs on all imported automobiles. So if an automobile is manufactured outside of America, it will now have a 25% tariff on it, which ultimately means the price will go up. I don't think the manufacturer is going to eat that for you. They're just going to pass it along. Ultimately, what the plan is to incentivize these companies that make cars in other countries like BMW in Europe or Toyota in Japan to move a plant to America. So and by the way, a lot of those companies actually already have plants here. Like BMW makes, I think, 2 different models here in America, one in Alabama and another in the Carolinas. But if they say make the 3 Series only in Germany, those cars are going to have a much higher bill on them when they come to America. So they're trying to incentivize BMW to open a 3 Series plant in America by giving them a huge tax break on the building of and the running of that business in America. And then at the same time, they won't have any tariffs on those vehicles. So it then encourages that company to not make them in another location and ship them into America, but to come into America and make them here and distribute them to Americans so they're made by Americans in America. That's the goal. It's going to be painful at first if you're in the market for buying a car that doesn't happen to be made in America. Maybe it's made in Mexico, Japan, South Korea, or somewhere like that. You might be seeing a 25% price hike on it in the meantime.
And I did video work for a couple Hyundai dealerships as far as like doing video stuff, a tour, things like that, when I first got my nice camera. And I learned a whole lot about the Hyundai and everything. They actually even have factories here, but most of the people that ended up ordering from overseas. If you wanted anything with the customs, if you wanted, leather with this or that, you had to go overseas for that. Like you had to wait a few weeks, almost all the custom ones. And I'm assuming that a lot of brands are like that as well, especially Honda and Toyota. I'm sure a lot of these places have factories that will make them here, but many of them are outside. Now, I want to point out that this is a big deal. He wanted to reiterate his seriousness. He said that this is permanent. That was a direct quote. He said this will continue to spur growth. He wanted to underscore his seriousness and said this is permanent. So they're not playing games right now. This is going to affect the world market, and a lot of people hope that it's going to be affecting the United States in a good way. So we will see, and we will cover it. But again, tonight over on Marfoogle TV, even more important. So we have a very important show tonight. I don't say watch every single show. I don't say this is going to be the best show ever. But I will say this. We have been talking about this all week, and there's even more evidence. You need to have yourself prepped, especially if you're watching in Europe. This is going along the lines of exactly what I thought was going to happen. Europe is going to go to war. We're going to get dragged in. A European Union, every citizen needs to be ready for war. Get your go bag ready, 72-hour kit, every citizen in the European Union. We'll talk about that and much, much more. So much important stuff. They might have found the CIA document saying that they may have found the Ark of the Covenant. Lots of crazy stuff. So join us on that show in just a few minutes. We'll see you in just a minute over on Marfoogle TV. If you're in chat, stay there. You'll be ported over. If you're watching the replay, all you have to do is click here.